welcome back for another episode of the Hesse Bros Pod. It's your boy Brent Hesse joining me, my brother Luke. Luke, wow, what another NFL slate. Everything was riding super high. We had gotten everything right. The Vikings had won for me and my locks. You'd hit your upset, Broncos over Eagles. I'd hit mine as well when the Buccaneers came through. Bake Show. I thought it was going to be a perfect night. I even pretty much called the Patriots beating the Bills. And then Monday night happened, and Kansas City could not cap off an excellent weekend of NFL football. But wow, Luke, there was still a lot going on.
Yeah, that was an electric week. Every team that had a zero in their record either got their win or got their loss that was coming to them there, except for my Jets. That is unfortunate. The only team that's either 0 and 5 or 5 and 0, and they are not 5 and 0. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
they're definitely not. Well, Luke, let's start off with that Monday nightmare that I have to call it. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, well, that was a tough one, obviously for the Chiefs, and I'm just wondering how you're feeling now. Do you think that this is still like a preseason type of thing for the Chiefs, just getting ready for the playoffs, or are you actually in fear that you all might miss the playoffs now?
Well, it's not like last year where they're just practicing. The games actually they are trying to win these games. You could tell that from week one when Patrick Mahomes was scrambling every play, making play throws that he only makes in Super Bowls or pretty much where he's halfway falling to the ground. Kansas City has urgency. The problem is they've still not been able to take full advantage of that. It's the only other year where they started like this was the exact same thing when they came off a blowout loss in the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers. Now they started that same season 2-3. They were 3-4. It was not looking great, and then they went on a run. Ended up hosting the AFC Championship game like they always do. Now they lost that game, but they were able to steady the ship and continue to go on a run. And I think that'll be the case. It's just very frustrating that there's two main things I'm frustrated about from that game. One is Chiefs don't lose games when they're up 14 points. When you have Patrick Mahomes, when you have Andy Reid, you go up 14 nothing. It's usually curtains. Now sometimes it gets close and they still end up winning by just a field goal or whatever, but they end up winning those games. And so the fact that they didn't is frustrating because that's just not the way Chiefs have operated over this dynasty run. The other one is that it was there for the taking. Like not only was the in the back in first place in the division was there for the taking. Broncos 3-2, Chargers lose again. They're 3-2. So Kansas City wins that game. It's a clean slate. Everything is starting from scratch for the AFC West, and I think that is massive. I don't think the Chiefs. That's been part of their success is they've won the division every single one of those years. So even the year they had to go on the road twice, they didn't at least have to go on the road three times, and their matchups are more favorable. You never want to try to be a wild card. It makes tougher matchups, and you're on the road the entirety of the playoffs. So yeah, winning the division is massive, and losing that game is a tough part. But no, I don't think fear of missing the playoffs is non-existent currently for me because the AFC does not have that many great teams. There's a lot of teams that you can already X off for playoff spots. So the numbers are already dwindling, and the Chiefs are still there was a lot to be impressed about. The offense looks great. Patrick Mahomes moving the ball up and down the field, and the defense just missed some opportunities throughout the course of that game to really put it away. It's a gut-wrenching one because it's one that I thought that they should have won, but they need to continue to play how they did through large portions of that game, and I think the Chiefs will be all right.
I think what it came down to was they still had the lack of the run game. Even after Mahomes had that pick six, like in the previous Chiefs dynasty, they had someone they could give the ball to and expect to run some clock, get first downs, and they just don't have that right now. And especially with Rashi Rice still out, that's their possession receiver. You can count on him to get those first downs and keep the clock moving, all that. So without having that right now, the Chiefs are susceptible to those comebacks like we saw on Monday night.
Yeah, we will see. That's definitely a valid point. Of course, Rashid coming back. He's going to miss one more game, though, Luke, and it is against the team you're wearing the hat for. Before we start talking about that Chiefs Lions game, let's talk about this week because the Lions rolled again. They lost week one to the Packers. Since then, they have looked like the best team in football. Should Detroit right now be Super Bowl favorites?
I think so. I think the Lions clearly have the most complete offense in the league with our running back duo and Jared Goff being one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. And we haven't even been, living up to our standards. Our third down conversion rate is still not very good, and we can definitely improve on that. That's what I'm excited about for the future. But the main point is our defense is doing what they need to do. They're not the best defense, but we're getting turnovers when we need to. Granted, we haven't gone against the best quarterbacks. Joe Flacco took his job away. Jake Browning took his job away the past 2 weeks
Gave it to
because of
Joe
how many
Flacco.
turnovers we're getting.
You took one player's job away, but then you gave it back to a different team.
Yeah, we gave it back. Joe Flacco must love the Lions now. But yeah, after that, it's like as long as the Lions can continue to get turnovers like we're doing right now, I'm not worried at all about losing to teams like that, especially. But even once we get into games against better teams, coming up against the Chiefs and the Bucs, if we can get a couple turnovers in those games, it's going to be really hard to beat the Lions.
The Lions right now, they look like the best team in football. I think for, but it's not about what happens right now. It's what happens down the road in terms of being Super Bowl favorites. So for now, they've got it, but talked about some other teams being at the top in the last few weeks, and each of them have stumbled in the process. So we will see. But right now, Detroit is very dangerous. Luke, another matchup that I thought was pretty wild. The game of the week is what we're calling it in week five was the Eagles Broncos. Eagles had not lost a game since going back to December, the Super Bowl champs. You called it. Had the Broncos as your upset pick. I liked Philadelphia in this game. They looked like they were cruising up 14 in the fourth quarter, but Denver got it done. Luke did. Philly get exposed.
I think they did, but also they're just I don't know what they're doing whenever it comes to deciding when to run the ball and when to throw it. Like, try to at least make it somewhat balanced. In that second half, they had a 14-point lead and they gave it to Saquon barely at all. Like, he was not getting the ball. I don't know what they were thinking on that. And then they're just trying to throw it to sustain the lead whenever that hasn't worked for them, just airing it out the whole time. I get that the receivers were upset, but come on, you just got to run the ball in that scenario. And it ended up biting them in the butt. What I loved the most about this, though, was Sean Payton going for it, 2 points on that one, taking the lead, going up, and then ended up winning them the game because the Eagles could have just kicked a field goal and sent it to overtime. So that was absolutely electric for Sean Payton. He's really got some nuts on him, and I think that's where Dan Campbell got it from, I guess, because he was with Sean Payton before. So hey, that's the way to do it. That's a coach that I like right there.
It was a gutsy play call. It worked out. I see. I don't know. It is so bizarre. I think their offensive philosophy right now is a mess. And obviously, you change coordinators out again for the third straight season on the offense. That could happen. I think their talent is still just too good. I think it has to win out. The fact that Saquon gets 6 carries in a game that you're leading for the vast majority of it is unfathomable. Of course, you're trying to satisfy AJ Brown after he was, praying to the high heavens the week before, but you got to do better than that. I think Philadelphia is still very good, and I think they're one of the few teams that can win the Super Bowl. But they definitely have some issues right now. They're going to have to go through some growing pains. I'm still not worried about them long terms in terms of being a contender. Maybe not the Super Bowl favorites like I thought they might have been, but they definitely are still in the mix. One
Absolutely.
other,
And last year, I mean, they were in a worse position at this point in the year too, having already 2 losses, and then they ran the table. So if they get that offense figured out, get some more balance, it definitely could still they could still be a juggernaut the rest of the year.
yeah, that's a good point for anybody, really, right, Luke? There's a lot of teams that were 2-2 going into last week, just like the Philadelphia Eagles were last year. Ended up working out fine for them. So, I guess you don't have to worry too much about September as long as you're not the 0-5 Jets.
Yeah.
Talking about somebody else though in that 0-5 Jets division, Luke, one of the reactions I had from week five, the Patriots, I was right there taking the New England Patriots, cashed on the money line. But I'm not just thinking it was a 1 week thing. I think the Patriots are actually a player to potentially win the AFC East. Their schedule sets up nicely. They've got a better defense than Buffalo. If the quarterback play and the receivers is close, like it was Sunday night, Patriots are a real threat.
I'm not going to go that far just yet. I think the Bills own this division. The Patriots, I feel like that was a culmination of this was their like biggest game that they'll have like all year as far as the regular season goes, and they were ready for it. They prepared well. Diggs had his best game that he'll probably have all year, and so I'm not ready to say that the Patriots are going to be able to bring that type of level to every game moving forward because we have seen them with some absolute duds in those first 4 weeks of the year. So I'm not going to go as far as to say that. And the Bills are going to be able to take care of business against the lesser teams on their schedule, whereas the Patriots, I feel like, could drop a couple of those games. But they're definitely trending in the right direction to get in the playoffs this year, maybe like a Broncos type of season from last year, and then be able to push for the division like we're seeing the Broncos do right now.
I think that's a fair point. The consistency the Bills have shown over the years, they just beat the bad teams, they handle them. Meanwhile, for New England, they could drop a few, as they already have.
Yep, absolutely. And then for my week five reaction, going back to Thursday night, that was such a great game. And the Rams ended up taking the L in overtime. Mac Jones with one of my favorite games I've seen from a quarterback in a while. I mean, it looked like he was dead and out of the water. I thought they were going to have to bring in a rookie out of Boise State undrafted at quarterback. But Mac Jones steps up and he gets it done for his team against the Rams. That was awesome. And I think he's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. I mean, with the weapons that he has and being able to find them whenever they're open, it really is remarkable. I mean, he outplayed Stafford and at least played up to Stafford's level on Thursday night when Stafford has those great weapons. And Purdy in the one game that he came back for last week did not look very good against the Jags. So if Mac Jones has another good week, maybe wins this week, you think there could be a quarterback controversy in the San Francisco area?
Yeah, I'm gonna say overreaction on that one, Luke. Mac Jones played phenomenal, but every quarterback under Kyle Shanahan plays phenomenal, at least at the start, before people figure out their tendencies in that offense and kind of the way that he does it. Because Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the game, especially when it comes to getting quarterbacks to play at their highest level. Now that was fun to watch. Mac Jones is just a goofy guy. I mean, he's getting hurt by his knee brace. He's munching on bananas. His pants are falling down, but he's just moving the ball up and down the field. And it was awesome to watch. I did not expect the 49ers to be in that game, especially when he was just going back to his New England buddy, Kendrick Bourne, up and down the field. And then McCaffrey getting the ball like 40 times. It was insane. But I don't think, for one, I don't think it's sustainable. The 49ers got very fortunate that the Rams made several miscues, including the fumble down at the goal line, another turnover, missed kicks. But a win is a win, especially in the division. So it's massive for the 49ers. And it shows that Mac Jones is still, I think, could be a starter in this league. But they paid Purdy the money. Purdy is still better when he's healthy. But it shows that you don't have to rush Purdy back. They tried to rush him back, and it backfired. He got re-injured. Let Mac Jones continue to deal, and I'm all about watching it. But no, Purdy is the quarterback that can put this team higher at their ceiling.
That's fair.
Luke, another reaction I had from week five in the AFC West, the LA Chargers, they went from a Super Bowl contender to being in serious trouble of missing the playoffs over a couple of weeks. The Chargers are in trouble, and it's because of that offensive line and now the run game as well. You lose both tackles. Now your rookie running back is on IR as well. Herbert, he looked amazing because he is a great quarterback and he had everything set up for him. Great time in the pocket. He's got three great weapons. He's got a running back behind him that's young and explosive. All that's crumbling behind him. And now the Chargers look like the old Chargers where Herbert is having to play hero ball and he's taking way too many hits. And that ends up leading to mistakes. And the defense also banged up with Khalil Mack's injury. Chargers are in trouble, Luke. I think there's a chance that they could find themselves on the outside looking in.
I think that's a bit of an overreaction too. I think Harbaugh's a good enough coach to where their run game is going to struggle, but they can use guys like Keenan Allen and Ladd McConkey on short, quick balls that are great in that scenario, getting open quick and be able to still move the chains, and their offense will be just fine. It definitely is tough because their run game is going to struggle, and that's what Harbaugh loves to lean on. But I think he can do enough to where the offense can stay afloat until they get guys like Hampton back. And I think they'll be just fine, especially like what you said about the Chiefs, where it is pretty open in the AFC right now. I think that the Chargers will be just fine.
And one more reaction from you, Luke.
I think that Baker should be the MVP favorite as it stands right now. I mean, what he's doing out there is absolutely electric. Beating the Seahawks last week, I mean, he looked absolutely amazing. And he's got his boy, Emeka Ibuka, probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year as well. And they're just absolutely firing on all cylinders, dropping 38 on a Seahawks defense that people thought was really good, and they still are good. But he is just finding receivers everywhere and he's one of the best leaders in the league as well. You got to hand it to him. I hate how they still have Josh Allen, I think, is the number one MVP favorite. Like, he has not done what Baker's done up to this point. And if it ended up right now, he better be the MVP.
There we go. We finally found one, Luke. Not an overreaction. You are spot on there. I mean, I loved it. Now, of course, I was riding the Bucs, but just some of the throws he made to Igbuka under pressure, just making plays happen. He's got that dog in him, and the whole team fires up behind him. I love it. Yeah, not only should Baker be the MVP favorite, Egbuka, the offensive rookie of the year front runner. Those Buccaneers are fun to watch. And those jerseys were damn sexy too. So yes,
Yeah.
fire up for the Bucs, man. I'm on you there, Luke. But one of the things I was shocked by in week 5 was the Cardinals Titans game, one of the weirdest of all time. Now, I was actually on the Titans in that game, and I was shocked whenever I found out they were even close at the end because that game was off my screen by halftime. And next thing you know, DeMercado fumbles the ball. Cam Ward pass gets deflected, picked off, fumbled, batted around, touchdown, Titans. The Cardinals just could not get out of their own way, and the Titans are not good at all. I mean, the Cardinals run that ball in, they're up 28-6. It's just another Titans get blown out, which has happened every week this season. And somehow it turns into the Cam Ward drive of his life that could jumpstart things. He looked good at that last drive, even though Sly still tried to miss a 28-yarder. Wow. I just don't even have words for that game. I could never have expected half the things that happened there.
It was just an absolute debacle. And even after those two insane plays that should have never happened for the Cardinals, where you drop the ball to one, should never happen, obviously, and then you catch a pick and let the ground fumble the ball, end up being a touchdown for the other team. Like those are just both insane. But the Cardinals still had that game absolutely locked up. All they had to do is throw the ball with Kyler Murray, your superstar quarterback, you got your superstar wide receiver you drafted fourth overall, and you have the tight end that's getting paid the most in the league, Trey McBride, and you hand the ball off to Michael Carter 3 times in a row to when all you need is first downs to win the game. Instead, you're like, yeah, let's punt it back to them, only up by 2. It's just absolute embarrassment for the Cardinals. Like you got to play to win the game and not expect your defense to be able to stop them when they hadn't been able
And
to.
one other crazy play that gets lost in the shuffle because it happened in the first half, when they snap the ball, it hits Kyler right in the face mask. He's like just absolutely stunned, and the Titans recover that one. I mean, they could have had that game done and dusted. That I've never seen that either. I've seen a bad snap where it goes high or low or something, but not just right at the guy's face. The Cardinals, they lost that game about 20 different ways, and they still were so close to winning.
Well, that would have been a good snap to basically every other quarterback in the league, but Kyler, he's a little shorter,
Right.
so that's not really on him. And then my biggest surprise of the week is just how utterly disappointing the Raiders have been. After that first game against the Patriots, it looked like they could honestly be somewhat of a contender in the AFC, but Geno Smith has just been absolutely terrible. they paid him all that money, and it looks like they're going to be drafting a quarterback early in this next draft because he's just not it. He's making terrible decisions, and their offensive line is really bad, but I just I can't get behind what Gino's doing right now. He just looks like he's not seeing the field well at all. And he used to be consistent. That was what worked well for him in Seattle. And right now, we are not seeing that at all.
Yeah, the Colts absolutely blitzing Geno and the Raiders. I think that's a team that's a very devoid of talent outside of you got, of course, Max Crosby on defense. Genty had a good game the week before against the Bears. And Bowers is dealing with an injury, and I think that is really hurting Geno and his passing options behind that defensive line or that offensive line. But yeah, it's mixed. I didn't expect it to be that big of a blowout, but I didn't think the Raiders were ever going to be in that game. Colts are legit, and the Raiders are pretty bad. Well, Luke, it's time to move on to week 6. We've got some fun games to talk about. And of course, for the first time since we've started this weekly Hesse Bros pod, the Chiefs Lions matchup. All that's coming up. But before we talk Chiefs Lions, a couple of games prior to that on Sunday that we got to discuss, Luke. First one, Seattle and Jacksonville. Both these teams were involved in two of the biggest games of last week. The Seahawks go on the road at Jacksonville. Jacksonville 1.5 point favorites. Is either team a legitimate contender in their conference?
I don't believe so. I think that the Jaguars are not a contender with the way Trevor Lawrence is playing right now. He is making some good plays, but some of his decision making is just not what you want from a quarterback of his level that's getting paid what he's getting. And for a quarterback that's going to lead your team to possibly the Super Bowl, I don't see it out of Trevor Lawrence right now. Not throwing it away whenever it's the most blatantly obvious decision to make and just running, when he shouldn't. He made a couple good plays, a few good throws that ended up winning his team the game, but I don't see it happening for them. And then for the Seahawks, I just think that it looks like they're probably the third best team in their division, and I don't think that's a recipe to be a contender in their conference.
I have to agree with you. Seattle looks just a little tier below, and I believe Jacksonville is as well. I think the quarterback play has a lot to do with it for both teams. Seattle's defense is legit. Their coaching staff has got them playing really well. And Smith and Jigba is a star. Their running back combo is very impressive. There's a lot to like about Seattle, and I think they're maybe a step closer than Jacksonville is because, like you said, Jacksonville right now relying so heavily on turnovers. I said that going to the Chiefs game, and they made it happen with the biggest turnover of the season, a 99-yard pick six that really flipped the game. But I don't think that is consistent. I do like Travis Hunter getting more involved on both sides of the ball. I think he played his best game so far, and that could be a big piece. But I think both teams are just a little bit behind those A-list contenders and are firmly in the B level category where they could get into the playoffs, and it wouldn't shock me if they won a playoff game, but I don't think that they're either making a conference championship game or anything like that. Do you do you like either team in this one?
Yeah, I think Seattle in this one, it's a great spot for them. Coming off that heartbreaking loss against the Bucs at home, and now they get a chance to redeem themselves right here. This is a perfect buy or sell high on the Jags at home against the Seahawks. I just don't think that they're going to be able to score very well against that Seattle defense. And Seattle's going to be able to get up quick. Their rushing attack is a lot different than what we saw from the Chiefs last week. And Kenneth Walker's going to be able to get going early, get an early lead, and the Jaguars are going to have to fight back, but it's not going to be enough.
Okay, Luke, and another matchup in the next window. San Francisco at Tampa Bay. Both of these two teams coming off very impressive wins and both 4-1 in the NFC. The Bucs are 2.5 point home favorites. We've already talked about Mac Jones and Baker, but can Mac Jones keep it up for one more week and play at Baker's level in this contest?
I think he'll be able to. I think this is going to be a shootout, and both teams are going to be ready to fire. It doesn't look like Mac Jones is going to be getting any of his weapons back, but I think that he can hold his own because the Bucs defense has shown that they're susceptible all year, especially through the air. So I don't see any reason why Mac Jones can't keep finding his targets, get some Kendrick Bourne, Demarcus Robinson down the field, and be able to make this one a close game.
Bucs defense, what are you talking about, Luke? They had the best half performance of the season when they prevented the Eagles from completing a pass in the second half. I think I don't want to call it clock strikes and it goes straight pumpkin mode, Mac Jones, because I do think that he's going to be able to keep them at a good level. But the Bucs are a different beast. I really think that they are in that Super Bowl contender window, and it's going to be hard for Mac Jones to replicate exactly what he did on that magical night in LA. Baker's balling out. Give me the Bucs and give me Baker Mayfield to play significantly better than Mac Jones in this one. I think Mac Jones plays a serviceable game. I think Baker keeps his high level going, and the Buccaneers will win this one.
Fair enough. I mean, why not just give Tampa Bay another last second field goal win? It seems like it might be coming down to it again this
Hey, that's definitely in the list of possibilities, probably near the top.
week. Yep. All right, moving over Sunday night football in Arrowhead, BS. I mean, this has got to get you absolutely fired up. How are you feeling about this Chiefs versus Lions game? And do you think that there's any personnel matchup where the Chiefs clearly have the upper hand against the Lions, who you said are most likely the Super Bowl favorites?
Well, Luke, I am absolutely on my feet for Chiefs Lions. It's the Hesse Bros Bowl, and I'll be there in person at Arrowhead screaming with all of the fans. And that's a good question, Luke. I do think that the Lions are deserved Super Bowl favorites currently, but the Chiefs are currently favorites in this matchup against Detroit. I was stunned when I saw that. I think that there are some places where the Chiefs could have the advantage, and I think most of them are when the Chiefs have the football. Now, the Lions, they have Aiden Hutchinson, who is a game wrecker, and they've got some other great players, especially in that linebacking core. I like a lot of those guys. But I think on the back end, the Lions are susceptible. We saw that even against the Bengals late when the Bengals made a late push. The Chiefs are going to have to push the ball down the field. And they have shown that they want to do that. Tyquan Thornton is having himself an incredible start to the season. Xavier Worthy, he had a little bit of a step back game after his comeback from injury game. But if the Chiefs want to win this game, that is where they're going to have to do it, is giving Mahomes enough time, slowing down that pass rush of Aiden Hutchinson, and then trying to take advantage of the Lions secondary. Because I think the Lions are going to score some points and the Chiefs are going to have to be able to match that. So that would be the spot for me that the Chiefs would have that matchup is going down the field. And that leads me to my question for you, Luke. We've seen a little bit more of that vintage Mahomes that you called it. And even in the loss, he made some impressive plays, both with his legs and with his arm. Are you a little bit scared of Mahomes at Arrowhead Stadium Sunday night?
Just a little bit. Mahomes is a great player, but I think that we can play this game a lot like we played against the Baltimore Ravens on defense. Make sure Mahomes can't scramble as much because he's been loving doing that so far this season. And if we can keep him contained, get Hutchinson in there for a sack or two, it's all really going to come down to the pass rush because we both of our starting corners are out for the next at least month. So we need to get those backup corners going. Meek Robertson, Rocky Ya-Sin, they have to be able to cover for just a few seconds and let Hutch and then boys up front get to the quarterback. And we're probably going to have to keep a linebacker spot on Mahomes. They're going to be able to put up points, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The Jaguars just put up 31 on the Chiefs, and the Lions are averaging 34 points a game. So I don't see any reason why the Lions can't keep up to that mark, drop another 35 bomb, and that Chiefs offense is not going to be able to keep up with that.
Hey, I think the Detroit Lions will score 35, Luke. But I saw the Chiefs and Arrowhead the last time they were there, and they scored 37 against the Ravens. So give me Chiefs 37-35 against Detroit in an absolute beautiful shootout. My one last question for you. When you saw that line, you surprised that the Lions are not favored. I know it's an Arrowhead, but the Ravens were just favored in Arrowhead 2 weeks ago.
That was definitely surprising, especially Kansas City coming off the loss. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but hey, make sure you bet on those Detroit Lions. They're giving us some juice on that money line, and trust me, it's gonna work.
Okay, I have one more question. I said that was my last one, but it's the Hesse Bros Bowl. We gotta talk about it.
Yep.
I of course I'm riding with the Chiefs, but I know that Lions offense is going to pop. Who's the guy for the Lions offense? We kind of talked Chiefs offense. Who is it for the Lions offense that you could see having a big one?
Absolutely. I think this is going to be a game where, like you said, it's going to be a shootout. And we've been waiting for Jameson Williams to get going. I think this is the time when he can start finding those creases deep down the field. And as long as we can hold up against the Chiefs pass rush, it's going to be more open for him than it has been. I'm not sure if Decker's going to play or not. If he is playing, that's going to be huge for Jameson Williams. But if he's not playing, definitely look more for Amon-Ra St. Brown over the middle. He's going to have a huge game no matter what. But if we can just hold up in the pocket a little bit longer, let some of those deep developing routes, we could easily see Jameson Williams popping off this game.
Yeah, I think Amon-Ra could definitely cook, especially if the Chiefs don't move McDuffie into the slot. That could be a big issue right there. I think that's one spot where the Lions have a huge advantage. But we'll be talking about that one next week, Luke. Lions, Chiefs, I am so fired up for it. That is the Sunday night cap, but then Monday night, bringing back the NFL doubleheader. We only have a chance to talk about one of these two games, Luke. So which one do you have your eye on? Buffalo at Atlanta? Atlanta 4.5 point home dogs. Chicago at Washington. The rematch from last year's Hail Mary between the number 1 and 2 draft picks, Williams and Daniels, where Washington is 4.5 point home favorites.
Yeah, I definitely like this Buffalo and Atlanta game. This is going to, both games are going to be great, but I think Atlanta's really shown a lot, especially against the Commanders a couple of weeks ago, really dominating that game. And they can certainly be able to do enough, I think, to be able to pull out a win on this Monday night football game. And I'm excited to see how the Bills bounce back. Everyone was having them at the top of the league. Can they get this game that they need to win against Atlanta so they're not dropping two in a row? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm that's the one that I'm of course excited about. Obviously, it's the Bills, so it's a big AFC contender, and I want to see how they respond to that Patriots game. I had concerns about the Bills after barely getting wins against the Dolphins and against the Saints, and they kind of made me look smart against the Patriots. Atlanta's coming off a bye. They've had time to kind of figure things out. Of course, Penix, this is his first year going into the season as a starter, and it's been an up and down start to the season, no doubt about it. Awful game against Carolina, comes back and plays one of his best games against Washington. So we'll see what kind of Penix we get. Is that does the bye help them? And Buffalo may be reeling a little bit. The Bills have struggled to stop the run. We know the Falcons are going to want to run the ball with Bijan Robinson. I'm very interested. I definitely think Atlanta can keep this one close and maybe have a chance at the end. And I think that leads us into our picks of the week, Luke, where last week, another dominating effort. Our locks locked it up. Mine was close. I needed some Carson Wentz, and luckily Jordan Addison stopped partying in the streets of London just in time to come catch the game-winning touchdown pass. But both of our upsets hit, and your prop hit in the first quarter. Maserati Marvin Harrison. Mine, I picked Ramondre Stevenson yards. He fumbles the ball. I should have just taken anytime touchdown because he still got 2 touchdowns. But we went 5 for 6 on our picks, Luke, last week, just like we did the week before. And we're starting off with a spicy upset about this game we were just talking about.
Yep, I'm going with Atlanta. I think they've got what it takes. That duo, like you said, the rush defense for the Bills is going to have to be able to stop Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. And they've been getting going as of recently. And I don't see why that Atlanta Falcons can't take a lead and be able to lean on those two guys to carry them to victory.
You know what? I'm all about that one. I don't, might as well ride the money line. I definitely like Atlanta plus 4.5. I think it's going to be a great game, and I'll be rooting for you to hit that pick. My upset of the week. I think you agree with this one too, Luke, because we were just talking about that game. Seattle on the road at Jacksonville. I just listen to that part that Luke just said about that because I echo it all. The Jacksonville Jaguars coming off their biggest win since they won that playoff game, down 28 points to the Chargers. And Seattle, frustrated. They felt like they have that one at home. You're up by 7 late in the fourth quarter and you don't even get to overtime. Seahawks are a very good team. Jacksonville, I think, still has some questions. I like Seattle as my upset pick of the week.
Love it. And then moving over to the locks, I got the Rams against the Ravens, minus 7.5 for the Rams. And the Ravens offense really just can't do much without Lamar. It's sad that he's going to be out for another week, and then coming off the bye, he's going to have to bring his team back from 1-5. But that's what he's looking at right now. Hey, if there's a quarterback to do it, why not Lamar Jackson? But this week is not going to be good for the Ravens. They just got cooked by C.J. Stroud. Imagine what's going to happen when Stafford, Puka, and Adams show up. Yeah, it's over for the Ravens early.
It's absolutely over for the Ravens. I think the more interesting thing is that 1-5, do the Ravens still have a shot? And I think they do. I think the Ravens at 1-5 can do it, but they have to get Lamar back healthy. They've got to get some of those guys back defensively, like Roquan Smith. But yeah, the Rams, it's all Rams this week. My lock, it's another one. I don't think there's much questions about it. Packers against the Bengals. The Bengals and the Ravens right now look like the two worst teams in football as they're currently assembled. They want to get Joe Flacco in immediately and play. Flacco has already beaten the Packers this season with the Browns, but the Packers are going to dominate this one.
Yeah, certainly. Moving over to the props where I'm looking to go 6 for 6 on the year, and I've got Travis Hunter this week. Been talking about that Jacksonville versus Seahawks game, and they got his line right now at 35.5 for Travis Hunter on his receiving yards. Definitely taking the over on that because the Seahawks, I think, are going to get up early, and the Jaguars are going to have to throw the ball if they want to win this game. They're going to get Travis Hunter out on the field more, get him more integrated after some of those great catches and dynamic plays that he was making on Monday Night Football. No reason why he shouldn't be able to get at least 40 yards.
I like it, Luke. You have been dialed in on these props. I've been tailing them and they've been making me some money. So yeah, Travis Hunter, why not 35.5? Like I said that was one of the big things. Hunter looks better on both sides of the ball. Think there could be some points and yards flying around in that game. Hunter can get 35.5. My prop this week is to a game we haven't gotten a chance to talk about yet, but it's AFC North matchup, Steelers and Browns. And while I think the Steelers probably get the win in that one coming off a bye, while the Browns have to come back from Europe, Quinshon Judkins, man, that guy is so impressive. He was dominating against the Vikings and should have had another big touchdown and got called back, but just running through defenses. And the Steelers' defense isn't that same defense that we're accustomed to from years past. I like Quinshon Judkins, it's a lot, but 80 yards, they're going to have to lean on him on the ground with a rookie quarterback facing a division rival.
I like it. He's an absolute beast. Love what I'm seeing out of that rookie.
Well, Luke, it gets to the time of the show where we've been talking for a little bit. I'm a little parched. I'm going to reach into my fridge, grab a 12 pack, and name the top 12 teams in the NFL currently. It is the week 6 12 pack power rankings.
I'm really excited for it, B Hess. And I'm getting thirsty too. Let's see what you got for us. See if you can quench that thirst.
Okay, my power rankings heading into week 6. At number 12 is a team we have been talking about quite a lot today, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. They hung with the Buccaneers, who I think is a really good team. They hung with some other teams that are pretty solid, but I think they're just outside of that top 10. Seattle at 12. Team right ahead of them is a team that beat them week 1, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. Mac Jones show. Got to give them credit with that victory over the Rams. Niners are a good team at 4-1. Could they be higher? Yes, if they were healthy, but right now, with missing that many pieces, can't put them any higher than 11 based on the guys that they're bringing out there on the field. Now into the top 10, we have got the Washington Commanders. Love to see Jaden Daniels back out on the field. He is a special player. Comes back and beats a good Chargers team. That's a very impressive road win for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, and I think that they are right back in the mix in the NFC with him healthy. Then at number 9, we are going to go to the AFC and the Indianapolis Colts. At number 9, I don't know. It's Indiana Jones. It's the Colts. They have not won the division in years. They're rolling with Daniel Jones, who's been just a career average at best quarterback, but they're winning games and they're doing it in dominant fashion. So I'm putting them in the top 10. They deserve the top 10. I'm sure some people think they deserve higher, but I think they're still like, does anybody see them going to the Super Bowl? No. They're at number 9 for me. At number eight is a team that way more people see going to the Super Bowl. I don't, but it's the Buffalo Bills. They lost the game. They show that they do have some glaring weaknesses and some holes on this team, I think, but they've still got one of the best quarterbacks in the game, and they've got enough players around him that they're going to be a threat and a contender. But they have to come down a little bit, putting them at eight. At number seven is the Denver Broncos, and they are on the rise. They get a big win against the Eagles on the road, Super Bowl champs. Bo Nix is still up and down for me. I don't trust him at all, but the defense is phenomenal, and the run game is playing really well. J.K. Dobbins is having a great season, and R.J. Harvey, the rookie, looks nice. They've got enough weapons that they are a legitimate team. Sean Payton coaches them well. They've got two losses on the season, both on the road against really good teams. The Chargers before they fell apart injury-wise, and the Colts where they looked like they had that game won. So the Broncos at number seven, they're a really good team. But at six is the team that's going to win the AFC West, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're at 2-3, but this is not the standings. This is the power rankings. I think the Chiefs would beat the Broncos on a neutral field tomorrow. Chiefs need to get it together. This is a big week. If they lose this one, they drop to 2-4, and then they really have to start trying to play some catch up. But it's still the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. That's my first 6 through 12, Luke. I took one reach over so you could comment on it. But what's your comments going into my top five?
That's wild. You have the Chiefs that high. I don't really know why they would be top six. I feel like they got dropped, and not even having Jacksonville, I figure you don't have them in the top five. So not having them on the list at all, it is tough because there's a lot of middling teams right around that 10, 11, 12 mark that you could throw in, like the Patriots. I'd like to see the Patriots get in here actually at number 12, but overall pretty solid. But Chiefs homer. I mean, come on. After they lose to the Lions, you still think they're going to be a top six team?
Well, here's the thing, Luke. Yes, this week was kind of the first week in the NFL season where we have seen a lot of upsets, right? This is the first week it kind of didn't go to plan. Outside of the Chiefs and the Ravens having really bad, surprising records, it's everything's kind of been according to plan in the NFL. And this week we saw the opposite. There's a couple big upsets. The Niners beat the Rams. We all watched. If you watch that game, I don't think you can go away saying the Niners are a better football team than the Rams. They made the plays that night, won the game. The Patriots and Bills, same thing. Patriots beat the Bills. I don't think anybody's saying the Patriots are a better football team than the Bills. They made the right plays at the right time, and I think Jacksonville is another case of that one where they deserve the win, but they're not the better team. And now we'll get into the top five teams, Luke.
Yep.
At number five is the Green Bay Packers. They were off this week. They're going to have to show something. They got a pretty easy one this week, but still going back to the start of the year, too impressive to drop any further than five. At number four is the LA Rams, who I think are a legitimate contender, and I wasn't sold on them going into the season, but what Stafford and Puka and Devontae Adams are doing, it's impressive. And the defense, while they struggled against Mac Jones, surprisingly, they've got a lot of weapons and playmakers on the defensive side of things. At number three, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Bake Show. Man, I wanted to find a way to put them higher, but they are right there in the mix. But they lost at home to the number two team, the Philadelphia Eagles, who that's another one. I think the Eagles are better than the Broncos, but the Broncos had them on Sunday. The Eagles have to get things figured out, but they are still right there near the top. But they're not at the top, and the top spot goes to your Detroit Lions. Lions, four straight victories. That's the high mark in the NFL right now. Congrats to the Lions, Luke. They come top of the 12 pack.
Well, Brent, it did get a little sour there at the end. I think you might have pulled a me on that one and just, threw you a little bit bad ingredients toward the end of your 12 pack there. I think that the Broncos and the Bills, sure, the Bills had a loss. It was a divisional game against the Patriots. I think they'll be fine as far as contending for the AFC. And so I would put both those two teams above the Rams, Packers, and Chiefs. That would be my biggest gripe about this 12 pack. But besides that, I think it makes a lot of sense. So you just only had one slip up. Maybe read the instructions there a little bit better before you put your 12 pack together.
Well, you see, the reason, Luke, is that if you look, Lions are top of the NFC. Who's top of the AFC in this 12 pack? The Kansas
Yeah,
City
Chiefs.
Chiefs. They might be six overall, but they're number one in the AFC, baby, and I believe that. So, Chiefs Lions on Sunday night, Luke. I am fired up. That is the Hesse Bros. Final thoughts for you going into this one.
It's going to be a great one on Sunday night. I can't wait. Hesse Roast Pod has been leading up to this moment right now, but maybe in the Super Bowl down the road, if it really is the NFC's best team versus the AFC's best team, we know how that works out. Absolutely electric, and enjoy responsibly. Enjoy that beautiful game on Sunday
Yes,
night.
can't wait to be firing up at Arrowhead. Can't wait for a whole week 6 of football. Thank you so much for tuning in to Hesse Bros Pod. Please like, subscribe, follow on whatever platform you are listening on, and we'll see you next week after some more great NFL football.